Welcome, everybody. This is No Kill in Motion. I'm David Smith from No Kill, Colorado. I'm here with Shirley Marsh from Yes Biscuit, Aubrie, Kavanaugh from No Kill Huntsville, and Alan Rosenberg from the New Jersey Animal Observer. There's been some positive things happening out there in legislation and politics with sheltering and no kill. And I thought we should talk about that. It's easy to see the things that we have to improve, but where improvement is happening, we should recognize it. And I'm concentrating on New York because a lot happened there this year. First of all, New York joined several other states, Alaska, California, Illinois, New Hampshire, in empowering divorce courts to consider the best interest of an animal in awarding custody of dogs, cats, and other companions. They also banned insurance companies from refusing to insure someone's home based on the alleged breed of a dog. And then lastly, the governor signed a bill that requires veterinarians to report suspected animal cruelty. There was one more thing. So Curtis Lewa, who did not win the mayoral campaign, but what's interesting is that he actually had no kill as part of his agenda or platform, which is great. We actually saw that in the 2020 election, both Cory Booker and
Julian Castro.
Thank you, Julian Castro. Both had no kill platforms on there. This is really kind of exciting stuff to see that animal welfare in general is actually making its way into politics and legislation. So, just wanted to talk about these positive things. And if you have any others in your own states that are happening right now, throw those out there. Let's see what's in Colorado. I'll start here. We had a legislation that we actually fought against because we thought it was going to hurt animals, HB 211160, which passed, but with major changes before it passed. And we felt that that was a big win here in Colorado as well. Alan, I know that you're pretty active in New Jersey. What's happening out there, or what do you have to say about the New York ones?
Well, New York is not far from here. So Curtis, for people who lived in the New York area, I know, David, you grew up here, and you probably remember Curtis Lewa was a guardian angel creator. And he's not your typical, he's a very conservative Republican. For someone of that political persuasion to so wholeheartedly endorse no kill and directly be involved in rescue. I think he has like a 1-bedroom or a studio apartment. He has like 10 cats, and
he's got a herd of cats.
They say it's like it doesn't stink at all, like it smells just fine, which is like a miracle if people involved who have lots of cats would think. So that was, even though he lost, it was not, given his other political positions, it wasn't unexpected, but he put it on the radar. And the mayor himself, actually, the mayor-elect Adams, he actually is a vegan. I think he even wrote a vegan cookbook. So maybe not no kill, but definitely got some good animal values there. Here in New Jersey, in northern New Jersey, just outside New York City, there was a candidate who won the election in Parsippany, New Jersey, in a major upset 4 years ago. And he really highlighted no kill. He made the shelter no kill after he took over. Unfortunately, he lost a close race. But given what happened in this election, it was a lot closer than you'd expect, given the Republican wave that happened this year. He was a Democrat, of course. So that was a good news. On the legislation front, unfortunately, it's mostly bad. We have cost of care bill is back here in New Jersey with the ASPCA pushing it hard. So anyone watching, please call the New Jersey legislature and please urge them not to vote for that. There's also that dog fencing bill we previously talked about before. And also there's another bill that would require police to impound a dog that even had a minor bite on someone, like a scratch or something like that. So there's some bad news on the state legislative front, but on the political no-kill issues in terms of elections, it's been pretty good.
Well, it's not bad news yet, right? Those haven't passed. You still have a chance.
No, they're taking up my time to fight against.
Well, right. Okay. Well, that's literally what we've decided to do with our lives, Alan. I think we're stuck there.
I know.
I'm in the same position. Shirley, what's happened in your part of the world?
Legislatively, not much as far as I'm aware. I don't follow legislative news maybe as closely as I should. And in large part, that's because legislating is a corrupt process in this country. I think, on the one hand, we like the idea of seeing humane care of animals codified in some form, but on the other hand, there is so much that follows that. Enforcement, for one thing. Is the law going to be enforced? Who's going to enforce it? How is it going to be enforced? And you bring in politics. Are prosecutors only going to proffer charges that they feel they can win in a case because they have aspirations to go on and be elected to some other office? And there's just a lot of, you can't even get meaningful access to legislators without money. And some of the businesses that have the most money in this country to get access to legislators are people who harm animals in their businesses. So everything's going to be a compromise. Legislation always represents compromise. So I guess I don't feel like I put as much stock in it as maybe I used to.
Well, what you said is very interesting. For the first time in my advocacy this year, we actually spend money on a lobbyist. And it's remarkable that 10 years of actually reaching out really did not get us access. And 1 year of having a lobbyist did. That said, it makes me uncomfortable spending the money on that because we normally spend it on spay neuter, adoption clinics, medical aid, behavior work, all that kind of stuff. And so spending that money is, it's a double-edged sword. It actually got us a lot of value on fighting a piece of legislation, but it's like, is that money better spent on what we do in saving lives? It's so hard to say. But Aubrie, know that you actually work in government, as do I. What are you seeing out there?
Well, I want to make a couple comments about New York first. I mean, New York as a state is to be commended. I mean, some of the stuff that they're doing legislatively, it's great. And what we see is that just like bad laws can be infectious and they can spread like a cancer, sometimes good laws, they can spread too. Because if you have other progressive thinkers out there, they can say, well, if they can do that in New York, why can't we do that in New Jersey? Why can't we do that in some other states? So my hope is that in terms of the state of New York, that the progressive steps have been taken, that other states will be looking at those and saying, hey, our people want this, we should do this too. I mean, the elephant in the room, of course, is the city of New York. New York City Animal Care and Control continues to be terribly regressive. It has gone back as a result of the pandemic. They're killing more animals than ever. And I think I just keep waiting for the people that live in the city of New York to say, you know what, enough. It's time to clean house. That's the New York front. Here in Alabama, things are flip side. Instead of doing things on the state level, I think that what we're focused on here in Alabama is doing things at local level. Any attempts to pass statewide laws to the benefit of animals have just failed miserably in our legislature. There are a number of reasons for that. But what we find is that, and I think the focus of many of us is, let's go city level. And if we can get enough cities to enact ordinances which are consistent with one another, well, then maybe one day we change the state. I mean, a couple of years ago, and continuing through last year, we started a process of passing these pet shop ordinances, which are ordinances that say that if you have a pet shop within city limits, that you cannot sell animals that come from breeders, brokers, whatever. And the only animals that can be sourced to the public in those stores come from shelters and rescues. So we're doing that city by city. We heard Petland was coming to Huntsville, honestly. So Huntsville was the first city where we got a law in the books. Then we heard Petland was going to Athens. Then we heard they were going to Gunnersville. So we had a string of local ordinances that have to do with pet shops. So I hope that continues in the coming year. And we do have a lot of cities that have laws about anti-chaining, anti-direct point tethering, only humane tethering, and have standards of care for dogs who live outside. So I think that in our state, rather than go state level, we're going local level to see if we can work to change the culture. But I do applaud what's happening in New York. Some of those laws that have been passed, gosh, I wish we could get them in Alabama. Not going to happen anytime soon. There have been 3 attempts to define the single word shelter in the criminal law about dogs and cats, and we can't even do that. So that's why we're not really focused on state level. We're focused on local. Well,
and that is something to actually take into account. It goes back to a little bit what Shirley said. Representation is hard. It is easier, like especially if you're just getting into it at the local level, you can meet and walk up to a city council member much more easily than a state representative. So I encourage people out there to start locally if you're not sure what to do. I know that we want to change as much as possible. Let's change the state of whatever state we live in. But that's not easy. And locally it's not easy either, but it's easier, I should say. And you do have better access to city council members, even a mayor, especially depending on the size of the town or city. It's easier to get in there. But we are at time. Thank you for joining No Kill in Motion. Here today with Alan Rosenberg, a New Jersey Animal Observer, Aubrie Kavanaugh of No Kill Huntsville, Shirley Marsh of Yes Biscuit. I'm Davyd Smith from No Kill Colorado. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.